Hey man, are you excited for GTA 6?
Yeah, man, I can't wait to play it.
It looks so realistic. I hope I'll be able to get at least 60 frames per second.
What are you playing on?
A PlayStation 4.
Bro,
What?
it's not going to be on the PS4. It's more than a decade old.
What did you just say?
Look, I'm sorry, but there's no way a PS4 can run it.
Imagine a game about a cowboy. Now don't get too excited, but imagine a game with 4 cowboys. That's basically the game I'm making. If you didn't see the last video, here's a quick recap. I'm making a co-op cowboy game where you and your friends are playing as bounty hunters and need to complete a set of missions in a random town. You're going to be able to choose any playstyle option you want, like in Dishonored, where you can choose to sneak around or blow up everything around you. So far, I made some buildings and made them spawn procedurally on top of the procedurally generated ground. I also made a model for the cowboy. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what made me give him snow gloves when I made him. Only God knows what I was thinking at that point. That's the main thing I had to remake later. Of course, every cowboy needs a revolver, and here's ours. I said this already, but I'll say it again, the revolver looks clean. As hell. I also said this already, but the revolver looks so much better than the cowboy, which kinda sucks. But God knew what I would do if He gave me power to create good 3D models. I also made this toon shader and an outline filter to make the game look more cartoony. And this is where I left off. I think it's about time I add the main part of the game, the multiplayer. I found this tutorial and it looked good enough, so I copied everything. I learned from this tutorial and implemented it into my game. After following her tutorial, I had a lobby system, and it actually worked. Nah, I'm kidding. Of course, I had to spend 10 hours figuring out why it wouldn't load, and when it did load, one player would control both characters. Then they could control their own characters, but they both had the same camera. Then the animations didn't work. Then the revolver didn't work. But yeah, I think that was pretty simple, right? The good part is, that was the hardest part of multiplayer. Once the players are all in the game and synced in, everything else is not as difficult as getting them there was. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm actually praying that was the hardest part of multiplayer, because this was already enough for me. It's not even that difficult. It's just so annoying to work with. I'm gonna do my best to explain how it works. The simplified version is, the host makes a lobby. When someone presses the join button, a new player gets added. When they're all ready, the game starts. The host runs a script for the map generation. That map creates a code that is sent to every client to generate the same procedural terrain. After that, everyone spawns in. When you move or play an animation, that information is sent to the server that then sends it to every client, and the same thing happens on everyone's monitor. That's basically how it works. So back to the lobby. You may have noticed that it kinda looks like shit. Well, that's just temporary. I'll make it really cool later, trust me. Okay, back to the main game. If you've been paying attention, you may have noticed that our cowboy over here has a bunch of very cool-looking animations. The walking animation is probably the simplest one. At first, I wanted to copy someone's animation into my character, but then I realized I'm kinda stupid, and I used a different bone structure for my characters, so I couldn't use other animations, which sucks. At this point, I could have remade the bones and then paste the animation, but I already had animations for the revolver linked to the current bones, and I think it's a little cooler if they're my own animations. Also, I was too lazy to do that. So I carefully copied the leg positions from this animation that I found on this amazing website called Mixamo. And that's it. The code for controlling the animation is pretty straightforward. If we're moving, the animation should play, and if not, it should wait until the animation is done and stop playing. If I was Ubisoft, I would release the game somewhere around this point. Fuck you, Ubisoft. Now that I've completed my required AAA game company shit talk, let's get into the good stuff. The revolver animations. Just like the revolver, they look clean as hell. Yeah, it's nothing mind-blowing, but they're still cool to look at. The palm is connected to the grip, which means I only need to animate the revolver and the hand is gonna follow its movements. From there, I made some basic animations. For the equip animation, I wanted the player to pull out the gun, flip it in the air, and then grab it. But I think this is good enough for now. It took a little work to make it look natural, and it still looks a little weird. But I mean, come on, is this not the coolest shit you've seen? I don't know, at least this year? I was also thinking of adding a comic book PNG at the point you shoot, like the pew effect you see now, but the effects can wait, for now. If you look at our town right now, you're gonna notice that it's kinda empty. And since I'm trying to make a cowboy game and not Silent Hills, I think we need some people to get this town some life. So I made this fella that looks suspiciously similar to Walter White and made him walk around. His script chooses a random building and he starts walking towards it. This is just a prototype, and in the future, they'll be able to, actually do stuff. Now that that works, I added a few more NPCs to make them seem more unique. I have 6 different models, and they all have 3 color versions, so that's 18 different NPCs, which is more than enough for now. I had a slight problem with the female models, because their face looked kinda empty compared to the male models, because they didn't have beards or mustaches. So the fix I did was giving them hair. Since, as you all know, women have hair and men have beards. The good thing about this art style is that I don't really need a lot of textures, because the outlines give it more detail automatically, which makes the character creation process much faster. And yeah, they don't look like GTA 6 characters, but I think their silliness fits well into the game style. And yeah, that's basically it for now. If you want to see more of the game, you can subscribe and like the video, and yeah, that's it. Bye.